Today, I've got a fall to-do list for you, but it's not your normal fall to-do list. This is all about supporting your independence. And while that is of all kinds of importance to me, it should be of the utmost importance to you. My name is Karen Brown, and I'm the editor and publisher of The Oldish, and I do welcome you to this show today. Welcome back to those who have been with us before, and a special welcome to those of you who are finding us for the first time. Now, if you haven't been here before, you don't know this. If you have been here before, you do know this. We have talked about the fact that there is a window of opportunity as we age. That window of opportunity to remain independent, and it matters what we do in this window of opportunity. If we do nothing at all, just trot along in life, we could probably take a chance that we won't fall, take a chance that we won't become socially isolated, take a chance that we can still do everything on our own. But that is taking a big chance, because as we age, we have limitations. Limitations to the things we can lift, to the things we can reach, to the things that we can do and stay well without pulling things in untoward spots. But during this window of opportunity, we can set ourselves up so that we prolong the window, prolong the period of time that we can remain independent. Now, it involves some choices. Not going to lie, you're not necessarily going to love all of the choices, but these are choices that we make because it's an either-or kind of situation. Today, we're going to talk about a little bit of a fall to-do list, things that you can do around the house, outside the home, inside the home, for your health. And we've got a little list that we're going to talk about at the end of things that you can be mindful of as we go through this fall and winter season. So let's start first of all with the outdoors. The outdoors is something that, probably a lot of you have already taken care of. You put the garden to bed, you put the patio to bed, you put away your garden tchotchkes. I've already done that. For those of us who are in snowy areas, this is something that is a bit of a routine. For those of you who don't have snow, you lucky dogs, you maybe get to leave them all out a little longer. But for those of us who will no longer be using our air conditioning, for instance, go outside and cover the air conditioner before the weather becomes too dicey to allow you to do that safely. Go outside, cover it up. Find the snow shovel, dig it out of your shed, and put it by the door that you most often use. Okay, just have that snow shovel there. I know you don't necessarily want to look at it every time you leave, but you don't want to be faced with a mountain of snow outside your door and wonder why you didn't find your snow shovel before this. So go find it, put it by your door. Also find the ice remover. You know how they come in those little jars with handles and little shaker lids? You want that by the door as well, either inside or outside, however you typically do it. You don't want to wake up one morning, and this could happen before it snows, and find that there is an icy patch outside your door, and the ice remover is in the shed or in the garage, and you've got to walk over the icy patch to get to the ice remover. Go get it, put it by the door. Do that today. Get snow tires on your car. For those of you who have to put snow tires on, I'm getting mine on Monday. I generally like to have them on by Halloween, because Halloween is never nice weather for kids. I don't know why that is. It is just never nice weather. So that's sort of my mental marker for when I want my snow tires on by. And I've had this appointment since the summer. But if you haven't yet made your appointment to go get your snow tires on, do that now. Because you know, and I know, that as soon as that first flake falls, people are going to come out of the woodwork calling the car dealerships and the tire places, and they're going to want their tires on yesterday. So go do that now. Put the ice scraper inside your car. Take it out of your shed, take it out of the trunk, put it someplace where you can find it inside the car. I usually keep mine in the back seat. I can reach it there, on the floor, of course, in the back seat, but there. Furnace filters. Go change your furnace filter. Those of us who have animals probably do it on a more regular basis, but it will freshen your air. And one thing I like to do that I'm going to give you a little tip about is I like to go to the hardware store and stock up on things like furnace filters and light bulbs so that when things happen in the wintertime, I don't have to make a special trip to the hardware store. So I've got a couple of packages of furnace filters. They come in packs of 3. I've got 2 packages of those downstairs in my basement by the furnace now. I don't have to think about it. I've also got packages of light bulbs so that when lights go out, because it gets dark earlier, when the light goes out, I don't have to suffer through the darkness. I can just go change the light bulb because I've already got the bulbs. That may seem like a silly thing to have to think about, but you'd be surprised how many people don't think of stuff like that. While you're thinking of yourself, think about the birds. For those of you who like birds, they don't like stale seed, so go buy yourself, while the weather is still nice, some fresh packages of bird seed. Clean out those bird feeders from last year, fill them up and put them out. Birds give me an endless amount of enjoyment from inside my house as I watch them enjoy food outside my house. My cat likes it too. He's an indoor cat, so he just likes to sit at the window and chatter away to them, and that amuses me as well. Make sure your hand railings are, number 1, there, and number 2, secure. If you've got steps to anywhere outside, and this goes for inside your house too, you need a railing, and you need to make sure that it's securely fastened somewhere, not shaky. Over time they can be shaky. Make sure it's there and make sure it can bear your weight, okay? I know a lot of people went through a period of time where they built these expansive, sort of rounded porches with 2 or 3 steps down. You need a railing. That's often what was missed. And you can put a railing, either one in the middle or cut it in thirds and put a railing. It can be a decorative railing, but you do need a railing because you're going to need something to hang on to as the weather gets worse. And you don't want to take the chance that you're going to fall. Unclutter the path to your car, to your driveway, to the sidewalk, wherever you go when you leave the house. Make sure it's not cluttered up with planting material or tools that you forgot about, toys that the grandkids may have left. Just make sure you don't have to step over anything and that nothing's going to get frozen to the sidewalk when the ice and snow come. All right, so that is your outdoor checklist. Some of those, as I said, maybe make sense to you to do anyway, but you may not have done them. So I want you to actually go and do them. This next section is really important. A medication checklist. We've talked about that so much here. A medication checklist is something that is just so important for you to have. And if you don't have one, we have one, and I'm going to show it to you. There you go. There's your medication check. Oh, well, first of all, this is our website. If you haven't seen our website, which is theoldish.com, this is where you'll go. And you can see our featured articles and then the various channels. Caregiver, aging in place, end of life issues, oldish living. We've got some great articles, and we publish nearly every single day. This is what I'm directing your attention to now, the toolkit. Now, you do have to be a member of theoldish.com to have access to this toolkit. But the reason you need access, and it's free membership, by the way, it's totally free. But if you're filling out a medication checklist, it's nobody's business what medicines you're taking. So it needs to be behind a bit of a firewall so that it stays secure and you have the password. We can't even access the passwords. But this medication checklist I want to show you. Let me get to it. If it's, the website's a bit slow. There we go. Okay, so we can create a list. Create a list. I think it's maybe a bit slow because I'm on this live broadcasting to you. But anyway, now you know why you need to have privacy, because you're listing all kinds of personal information. This medication checklist, by the way, I developed myself. And before I finalized it, I took it to the chief of ER at our local hospital and said, what am I missing? Is this a good idea? His comment to me was, I wish every patient came into my ER with a medication checklist like this. He did give me a couple of suggestions, which we incorporated, And, and this is the medication checklist. Some of you may have checklists of your own out there. This is a good time to refresh it, if in fact you do have one. If you don't have one, please feel free to make use of ours. So you can put in the name of your prescribed medications here, and every time you add new, it just adds another column. And if the doctor takes away a medication, then you just delete it and it goes back to normal. Over-the-counter medications count as medications. That's very important. Most people don't think of that, but if you take Pepto-Bismol on a regular basis or half of a baby aspirin every day, that counts. Ibuprofen, do you get headaches a lot? Or do you just take them because of general aches and pains? Doctor doesn't necessarily prescribe it, but your doctor does need to know you're taking it. Vitamins, natural and herbal products. Yes, they are medications. A vitamin is a medication. So if you're taking vitamin C regularly or vitamin D regularly, put it on this list. Make sure your doctor knows that you're taking it. A list of allergies, a list of intolerances, and then your list is created. It's very important that you have that medication checklist. Okay, so let's go back now. Let's go back. There we go. Here we are, we're back again. All right, so do that medication checklist. Either create the new one or refresh one that you have that's existing. Now, in terms of where to put it, we have always suggested, because this is what the ER chief told us, that you put a copy of it on the inside of your medicine cabinet, because when EMS crews come to your house, if you are not conscious and can't speak to them, the first thing they will do is, after they stabilize you, is they will take essentially a garbage bag and go to your medicine cabinet and empty everything in there, because the ER needs to know what medicines you've got so they can figure out what you may have taken. And if they see that medication checklist on the door, they'll take it. Now, I know a good many municipalities have talked about putting that medication checklist on your refrigerator, and EMS crews are getting trained in some of those jurisdictions to look on the refrigerator. So go ahead and put it there. You know, you can't have too many copies. You should have one in your purse as well. Okay, we've got a comment here from Dakota. I'm better at reading this info. Can I find it written down later? Dakota, this broadcast will be archived, but I will make a special point of putting our oldish.com domain address in the comments for you, and you'll be able to go there. I can't take you to the medication checklist because unless you have a membership, you won't have access to it anyway. Okay, so hopefully that helps you. All right, thanks for the comment, Dakota. All right, let's carry on then. And deciding on your social activities, that's something that you should be doing. You know, you can sort of sit there with a cup of coffee or a glass of wine if that makes you happy, and you can decide what kind of social activities you're going to participate in over this fall and winter season. So, as I said, social isolation has been declared the #1 health issue of our day. And that was by doctors at, I believe, a university in Chicago. But it's been quoted in many places. So it is indeed a fact. You need to plan. They don't just happen. You can't just wait for someone to knock on your door. Be proactive and proactively support your own independence process. So you can look at, you know, coffee get-togethers, wine get-togethers, if that's what makes you happy, sewing circles, birdhouse making clubs, cooking classes. Organize this. Invite some friends. You know, if you're on Facebook, that's a very easy thing to do. If you're not on Facebook regularly, pick up the phone and make a call or send an email and invite people to join you. You'd be surprised at how many people will say, gee, that sounds like a great idea. Always wanted to do that, but I just didn't want to do it alone. So you can be the organizer and give everybody something to do this winter. Progressive dinners used to be a thing when I was a kid. I remember my parents doing them. That's something that you could bring back with a few friends. You know, you have hors d'oeuvres at one house and a main course at another and dessert at another. So nobody has to do all the work, although everybody has to clean their house. That's all right. Theaters, movie nights. You can do movie nights in your house too. I used to do that when my kids were little. I had a group of friends who also had little kids, and we used to take turns holding movie nights. And we just, that was the day when you went to the store and got a DVD. We'd get a movie and we'd all sit and watch it and have something to talk about afterwards. And that was fun. There are current event clubs that are springing up. Now, that can be kind of fun too. You sit around and you talk about the events of a day. Not to argue, not to butt heads. It's not about raising your blood pressure. It's about staying current and having the opportunity to come together as a group and do an activity. So if current events and news are your thing, do that. Alrighty, volunteer activities. If you don't currently volunteer, that might be something you would like to do. I don't know of any group that isn't looking for volunteers, whether you like to volunteer for your hospital auxiliary, or you like to sit on the board of Habitat for Humanity, or you like to sit on your church board or a committee that your church has, the Lady Lions Club or the Lions Club for Men, the Optimist Club, the Probus Club. Do something. Everybody has regularly scheduled meetings, and you can take advantage of that too. It gets you out with people, it gets you circulating and having discussions and dressing up, just tarting yourself up a bit and combing your hair. That's all really important to your continued health and well-being. Organize your exercise. That's another thing that you want to do. Now, I have a treadmill in my house, so that's my exercise, and I read I read books, I listen to podcasts, I watch the news, I sort of multitask while I'm on my treadmill. That may be something you would like to do. I've had this treadmill for years, and I find it very good for my lifestyle, but I know that one of my neighbors a couple of doors down belongs to a walking group. And with the exception of the worst weather, I see these ladies out walking. I believe they are a group of retired teachers who have stayed in touch, and they do this walking group every day. Tai Chi classes, yoga classes, take a look at what your community center is offering. Dance lessons, nudge your partner and suggest dance lessons, or get them watching Dancing with the Stars and say, wouldn't that be fun to do? Anything. You can go to dance classes by yourself, by the way. There are other single people who go there. They're very brave. I'm not sure I'd be that brave, but there are people who go there and do that. So make sure you do that. If you don't necessarily find that you are able to get out easily to join a walking group, you may live in a more rural setting. There are exercises on YouTube, and I would encourage you to take a look around and see what's there. You can find Tai Chi and yoga and dance and all kinds of things on YouTube now, so you should do that. Now, I'm going to go back to our Oldish website, and I'm going to show you, let me get out of there. There we go. In the toolkit also are home safety videos. You can take a look at that. SAIL home safety activity programs. Now, you can go to this. These exercise programs were developed by Dr. Vicki Scott, who lives on the West Coast, and she developed exercise programs for people who can only sit, so people maybe who are in wheelchairs or have challenges with their legs. The same kind of exercises for people who can stand, so maybe what you can do is stand at a kitchen counter and do these exercises, and then the same exercises revamped for people who can actually move. So they come in 3 languages, English, Punjabi, and Mandarin Chinese. Now remember, Dr. Scott practices and lives on the West Coast, and so there is a dense population of people who speak those languages out there. But if you speak English, you can look at these exercise programs. There's an attached PDF. But you look at these programs and it gives you a sense of what you can do. So that's free. It's free with your free membership to theoldish.com. So take advantage of that. And that is another exercise. There's no excuse for you not to be moving, okay? Do not sit in your chair all day and watch Netflix. That's not what I want you doing. You've got to be able to exercise and keep moving, because if you don't use it, you lose it. And that's not a good thing. Remember, we're trying to support your independence, okay? So you've got to keep moving. All right, so there's an article that we're going to publish. I think it's coming tomorrow. that's talking about a new study that comes from the West Coast, from Fraser Health. And it is talking about online games that you play digitally on your smartphone or on your tablet. Now, the online piece is important because you're playing with a community of people. They have found that these kinds of games are good for mental stimulation. So the games that you're going to see in the article that were studied in this study are things like Scrabble, Mahjong, chess, and solitaire. Online games, so you're actually playing them with other people who are online as well. Sometimes at the same time, sometimes not at the same time. So, for chess, you can make a move. And then the next time they're online, they see what move you made and they make a move, and so on. Those kinds of things are really important. So if you have a smartphone or a tablet of some kind, take advantage of the mental stimulation opportunities that these offer. All right, here's another one that deals with fall and injury prevention. Find out how to get yourself up off the floor if you should fall. Now, I know that might sound a little strange, but if you fall and you can't get up, that's a problem. The longer people are on the floor and unable to get up, the less their chance for a positive outcome. So if you have fallen, figure out how to roll yourself and get up. There are therapists in every community who can teach you that. You can ask of your family doctor to show you that or to refer you to somebody who can tell you that. But this is really important. You need to know how to advocate for yourself, and knowing how to get up off of a floor in the event that you fall is one of the things that we should all know as we age. All right, inside your house, I published a little video on our Instagram channel and on our Facebook stories. I believe it was yesterday or the day before, and it was 5 tips for staying safe inside your house. So some of these were included in that, but I'm going to give you the whole gamut. We've talked about this before on this show too. Make sure your indoor shoes, your outdoor shoes, and your boots have adequate tread. If you can't tell visually whether or not the tread is adequate, bundle them all up in a bag and take them to your shoe store and talk to somebody who can tell you whether or not the tread is going to be adequate. If you live in zones that get ice and snow, that is particularly important when you're walking outside. If you have no tread or shiny tread, you are not safe to wear those outdoors. You're going to slip and fall. Same goes for indoors. You need to have adequate tread. When we did the show on this before, I dug out some of my favorite slippers and sandals, and I was shocked myself to see that there was no tread on them. So they're in the garbage, and I replaced them. You need to do that. Make sure there's adequate tread, because that's a trip and slip hazard. Get rid of throw rugs. Get rid of throw rugs. They may look pretty, but they're hazardous for you. And as you age, you don't want these hazardous things in your house. Everything like this is a risk. So as pretty as it is, get rid of it. Pack away or minimize knickknacks. All those knickknacks and tchotchkes that are around, if you have a lot of them around and you're looking for a place to put down your cup of tea, or if you should slip and grab something and something falls and smashes, then you've got glass all over just don't do that. Pack them away. Having a few things out, a few sentimental favorites is terrific, but don't burden every surface with tchotchkes. I know that what some people do is they'll put some of them out and they'll rotate them with others just to keep their house looking fresh, but to minimize the amount of clutter in their house. Make sure your evening and nighttime pathways are uncluttered and properly lit. So now we go back to having light bulbs in your house, which I mentioned earlier. You want to make sure that if a bulb has burnt out, that you replace it, because you don't want to be walking in the evening down a hallway and it's dark and you can't see that the cat is there or that the dog has left their toy. You don't want to get up in the middle of the night and go to turn on a light so that you can see your path to the bathroom and find out that the light bulb is burnt out. We did a show before about a product that Brown Healthcare carries that is an automatic light. It's a motion sensitive light, and I actually use it. It's on the pathway to my ensuite bathroom. So as soon as I get out of bed, that thing sees me moving and it turns on. Of course, it also turns on when the cat comes into the room, but that's okay. I usually don't notice because I'm asleep. But making sure that those pathways are lit in the evening as well as for the nighttime is really important. You've got to be able to see where you're going. Check your task lighting and make sure that it's properly lit, and again, the bulbs are fresh so that you minimize your eye strain. So by task lighting, I'm talking about the light that you have by your favorite chair to read, or the under-counter lights in the kitchen that put a light on the vegetables that you're chopping. Okay? Make sure that your task lighting is adequate. You can always add it. You know, there are these very cool strips that you can buy that plug in and plug out. They're cheapest chips, and you can put those under surfaces where you need a little bit of extra lighting if you don't already have task lighting there. Scan for trip hazards like cords, throw blankets, piles of shoes, laundry. I said toys, but toys that the grandchildren may have left around, you know, when they are there visiting, or your dog. My dogs have never learned to put away their own toys, so I always end up going around and cleaning up after them. But you want to be really careful about cords, whether they're phone cords or lighting cords. Make sure they're tucked away so that you don't trip over them. Make sure that when you're done with that nice cozy throw blanket at the end of the evening, you actually fold it up and put it away. Make sure it's not dangling on the floor that you could catch a toe on and slip. Piles of shoes. This time of year, well, maybe we're a bit past it, but as the seasons change, I've got almost every sandal and every sneaker and my rain boots. They're all piled up at the door. Now that the season has passed, you know, I put away the rain boots, I put away the sandals, and so there are only a couple of pairs of shoes there to choose from. But those piles of shoes, if they don't stay organized, they could become a trip hazard as well. And laundry. You know, you want to make sure that your laundry is neatly organized. You've got bins for everything. So just check that. The most often used items in your kitchen, make sure that they're within easy reach. So you know how we organize our cupboards. You know, I think every woman has their own way to organize their kitchen so that the glasses are here and the mugs are here and the plates are here. But if if you're finding that you have a couple of bowls, a couple of plates, and a couple of mugs that you use all the time, but you have to reach for them, stop reaching for them. Get them all together and put them on one shelf that's low. Nobody's going to see it. It's behind a cupboard door. But they're going to be easy reach for you, and you don't have to strain yourself reaching up for them or bending over and reaching low for them and risking, you know, the blood all rushes to your head and you get dizzy and fall over. Just keep a bunch of things that you use often at a level that is easily reachable for you. Grab bars. Make sure you've got grab bars. You know, when I did renovations to my house a few years ago, even though I was younger, my contractor laughed at me, but I had them install grab bars in the bathroom because I figured that the renovations are being done, let's do them. But if you don't have grab bars in the bathroom, if you find you need them in the bedroom, you can put them there too. In the bathroom, you should put them by the toilet and by the shower or bathtub. That's very important, and you can't just screw them into drywall. They've got to be put into the studs. So if you don't know how to do that, you have an adult child or your contractor come and do them for you. It's easily done, and you can buy them at the hardware store. You can go buy the grab bars, and then you can have somebody come. The hardware store may even have somebody who can come out and install them for you. But really important to have that stuff, especially by showers and toilets. Because you want to make sure that you can maneuver and manage to move safely in those areas. Railings. We talked about railings. Outside railings, inside are just as important. Make sure that they are tightened. You know, sometimes those railings to the basement or to the second level, If they get used a lot, they can loosen, the screws can loosen from the walls. Make sure they're tight and secure and that you secure them. This is something that may sound a little odd to some people, but it's something I inevitably notice, especially when I'm in a public place. Make sure the things you use often in other parts of the house are within easy reach. And the thing that always comes to mind is bathroom tissue. When I'm in a public restroom, it always amazes me that somebody wasn't thinking when they installed the bathroom tissue holder, because inevitably it's behind you or it's way in front of you and you've got to lean very far to reach it. If your home was built that way and the bathroom tissue is in an awkward place, go to the hardware store when you go to buy your furnace filters and your grab bars, and you can buy one of those freestanding toilet tissue units. They come in, stainless steel and white enamel and all kinds of fancy things nowadays. But then you can put the toilet tissue on it, and you can put the toilet tissue where it's easiest for you to reach. Not behind you. But if you happen to own a restaurant, or you have an adult child who owns a restaurant, or if you go to a restaurant, or an airport, or any of those public places, take note of where the bathroom tissue is located. I guarantee you, 8 times out of 10, it is in an incredibly awkward space. And I just wonder, who the heck thought of this? All right, as we move through this fall and winter season, there are some things that I want you to pay attention to about how you live your life. This is the last section we're going to finish off with. Pay attention to how you move around your house. Is it easy for you to move around your house? Do you have a house that's on 2 levels? And are the stairs easy for you to manage? Can you consider living on 1 level? This is really what I'm getting to. For many people who have 2-story houses, they're doing some renovations to make sure that there is a 3 or 4-piece washroom on the main level and a space that they can have as a bedroom. And they can live all on 1 level and not bother about stairs. So, again, we're talking about supporting your independence. And although that might not be ideally what you would want, if you fall down those stairs or you find that you can't get up those stairs one night, guess what? Somebody's going to start making decisions for you. You want to make those decisions for yourself. And if that means adapting a bit of your lifestyle, then that's something that you may choose to do so that you expand your window of opportunity to remain independent longer. All right? How easy is it for you to get to the grocery store or the drugstore? Are you still driving? Are you still comfortable driving? These are things that you might want to look at. If you're not comfortable driving anymore, or if your adult children are not comfortable with you driving anymore, if people have said to you, maybe you ought to think about giving up your license, then maybe you ought to think about giving up your license. Again, don't have other people making these decisions for you, or don't have something happen that means that instantly your life changes. Take the bull by the horns and make the decision yourself. Now again, I get that having your driver's license is an issue around independence, but there are other ways to be independent and keep that window open longer. Taxis, buses. In Ontario, we have something called OneCare, where you can book a ride, essentially, to the grocery store and get your groceries. Now, is it as simple as hopping in your own car and going when you want to go? No, it's not. But make the decision yourself before somebody else makes it for you. That's what I'm getting to. If it's not easy for you to get to the grocery store or to the pharmacy, there are things that you can check out. For instance, our local grocery store here is part of the Loblaws chain. I don't know if they have that in the States or in other places, but I'm sure that your chains do have or will have something similar. I can go online and I can order all my groceries online. I can order exactly what I want. I can be very specific that I want ripe bananas or green bananas. I want 1 quart of milk or 3 quarts of milk. Particular brands. I can be very specific in terms of what I want. I love this service. And when I place the order, I can decide and say in the order that I'm going to pick it up on Friday between 12 and 2. And they will have that order ready for me. That order will be shopped that morning and I can go pick it up. So, lots of options here too. Maybe the store delivers. If I decide I'm going to go pick it up, then they have special parking spaces for those of us who order online. And we just pull in there and send them a text, and they bring the order out and they put it into my car for me. How easy is that? I could have my adult child go get it. I could pay my neighbor to go get the order. If I put that on the order and the store knows that Mrs. McGillicuddy is coming to pick up my food order, they'll give it to Mrs. McGillicuddy and she can bring it to my house. So, this opens up a world of possibilities and healthy nutritional eating for me too, because I'm not eating toast and tea all the time. Okay, so look at all those options, and they have a pharmacy in there as well. But the pharmacy also, there's a separate pharmacy next door, and they deliver. They deliver prescriptions, and they'll deliver whatever you want. So there are options. Now, the other piece, if you give up your driver's license, you might want to consider what you need help with. I'm sort of switching tactics here. You might want to consider what you need help with. Do you have people coming in to mow your lawn, shovel your snow, clean your house, get your groceries, do your laundry? I mean, as we age, we tend to need more and more help. There's nothing to be ashamed of there. That's just a fact. We need more and more and more help doing life. What would happen if none of this help was available to us all of a sudden? I think that for a lot of people that would be a huge problem. Essentially, you're living in a retirement community, but it's in your own home, and you've brought the services into you, instead of living in a retirement community where they're all already there. Think about it that way. Are you building your own retirement community, but just having everybody come in? If so, what if they go away? What if your budget no longer handles it? These are all things you need to think about. The possibility exists as you move through this fall and winter and you assess your own living circumstances and your own ability to do life in your chosen environment, that you may prolong your window of independent opportunity by moving. I know it's not what everybody wants. Not everybody wants to leave their home and move to a different location. But if you could prolong that window of opportunity by living in an apartment that's on a bus route, that maybe had a grocery store right next door and a pharmacy right next door, would you do that? You might need to think about these kinds of things because the options may not be desirable. It's all about prolonging that window of independent opportunity. Okay, that is it. That is my list for you today. And I am going to tell you that you have been great to hang in here. This has been a longer than usual broadcast, but it's a longer list. It's a longer laundry list of things that I want you to do. But it's, one of the foundations of the oldish is your independence. To that end, I will tell you that I'm in the process of writing e-courses where you can go through this kind of stuff, but more. It's more expanded. And you can have those lists and go through all the stuff and figure a lot of stuff out for yourself before decisions are made for you. That's what it's all about. We want you to stay independent. It does indeed take a village to age a senior. And we say that at the end of every show, and that is absolutely true. It does take a village, but you know what? You're at the center of your own village, and you get to make your own decisions. you get to make them now. So take a look at that list, add to it if it suits your lifestyle, and we hope that you stay independent for as long as you possibly can. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for staying with us. We will be back with you next Wednesday at 12 noon for another edition of the Oldish Live. And as we always say, it does indeed take a village to age a senior.